The college football experience, Coastal Carolina Chanticleers 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL projections are now live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers 2024 season preview. It is always an interesting time with the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers because they've only had a football program for what, 20 years, 19 years, something like that. Fascinating story. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about this year's offense, defense, special teams, kind of a transitional year with Grayson McCall leaving for NC State. So, I feel like it should be very interesting talking Chanticleer football. YouTube.com/the college experience as we continue to break down all 134 teams in the land. So hop on over there. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Grayson McCall said he pissed Teal, but he transfers to NC State. What's going on? Got a little UTI. Now. Got a little UTI over there. Oh, man. So sometimes someone comes along and goes, hey, here's a big old bag of cash to come over here and play. What can you say? I think he probably should have left for ECU, but we'll talk about that another day. But I am joined by my co-host. You've heard him on the MLB gambling podcast. What you should be subscribed to is obviously that season inches closer and closer to the World Series. Also, the NBA gambling podcast. He's been writing a ton of great college football content over at sports.com. Give it up for Latte Smith. How are you, my friend?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. Grayson McCall probably got a lifetime deal at Cookout, so that probably won him over.
That works, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to breaking the team down, man. Interesting transition year, like you said. So interested to get into it and hear your thoughts about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fascinating things I feel like, previewing all these teams and you do the deep dive, and I have long lobbied for a lot of schools to start their football programs. Like it's just me and you or basket. If you don't have a basketball program, first off, that one's even worse. But a football program, I feel like especially, I think all 50 states should have representation with football, but also big schools. Pretty much, if you ever have over 10,000 people at your school, you should be going, and you should be having a football program. And many instances, you don't even need that many. You can use plenty of exampple. But when I look at this, I get reminded of because I've said why doesn't Charleston, the Cougars of Charleston why don't they have a football program? Never understood that one. Or Greensboro, UNC Greensboro, the Spartans there, or Wilmington, or at UNC Asheville, which has obviously less than 10,000. But I still thought they all made sense. Why you're in a great area as far as talent. It's part of the culture there. I feel like is sports, football, basketball, baseball. So Coastal Carolina got that vision They got what I was selling a long time ago. Back then, I didn't have a microphone. I was just drunk at a bar stool talking to someone's ear. They're probably like, "Oh, this guy again." And I'm like, "Yeah, Coastal Carolina should start their football program." But they did. And look, this is what I mean, though. This is like Exhibit A. Their first season in 2003, they went 6-5, and back then they obviously started in the FCS. But then, they had 6 FCS playoff appearances. Only 2 losing seasons within the FCS, and even at that, under David Bennett, they were 5-6, so competitive. Then they joined the FBS, and you're looking right now, they've had 4 straight winning seasons, 4 straight bowl games. Not only that, they've had, it's not like 7-6, seasons. They've had I'm counting 39 wins in 4 seasons, so that is getting it done. And I think that means something. That says something about the program and everything, that they're in good hands moving forward, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tim Beck hire. But after year 1, I'm looking like the idiot here because 8-5, 3 different quarterbacks playing. That's a good season. Bowl game win in the Hawaii Bowl against San Jose State. Where are you at with this program right now?
Yeah, man, like you, I didn't like the hire as well, but Tim Beck, proved me wrong. I thought he was going to be his old conservative, predictable self. And I mean, stepping down a level, maybe he doesn't have obviously the personnel that he had in Raleigh, but still an attractive destination to come to if you're a kid. You're right there on the beach. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how they do without McCall, because McCall kind of was responsible for a lot of those wins that you were just talking about. And I'm interested to see how Tim Beck does, because now I think this is year 2. By next year, he'll be getting his recruiting classes in and kind of getting his guys in his system. And I'm interested to see how that works. But so far, I mean, like I said, like you said, I've been wrong on the hire as well, but it's only year 1. I mean, he could go 4-8, and we both look like geniuses. That's
true. Like, I think of Mark Helfrich at Oregon taking over for Chip Kelly. I think like the first year, it's like, oh, this is smooth sailing. He went to the national championship. But by like year 3 or 4, they were a 4-win team or something. And then you're finding out, maybe just he had some of Chip's players and some of his coaches, and that dwindled away. Not to say that that's the case, because I will say this, we both knocked, and shout out to the chat, Gabe in the chat, Big 12 locks got pushed to tomorrow, Gabe. So sorry about that. I thought it was going to be tonight. Schedule conflict. It got pushed to tomorrow night. What I was going to say was, like, just in general, he hired Travis Trickett at the offense coordinating spot. That was like an underrated, like that. I didn't think he would hire him. I thought he would go more conservatively. I don't think Travis Trickett's a conservative offensive coordinator. So that might be what we're talking about, is maybe, you never know. Also, when you're a coach, maybe he wanted to be more aggressive, and Dave Doran is like, no, we're a good defensive team. You never know. True. I mean, it could be.
Ask Garrett Riley.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube.com/the college experience. We got some slides here, but this is what is impressing though. The further you dive into it. So Tim Beck played quarterback at UCF back in the day. He coached under Bill Snyder, Mark Mangino, Urban Meyer, Tom Herman, and Dave Doran. I'll say that, like, you look and you're like, damn, those are 5 successful coaches. Mangino had Kansas rolling. Obviously, Bill Snyder, the stadium is named after him now. Urban Meyer, obviously, say what you want about the guy, but he wins football games. Tom Herman has a pretty good record too, and Doran's doing a good job at NC State. So clearly, they saw something. Maybe it wasn't what we exactly thought, And Travis Trickett's still the offense coordinator. Defense coordinators, they have 2, and Craig Navier. I could be butchering your name, Craig. I apologize. And Dan Carroll. But 8-5 in year 1 is 8-5. And my only real regret is that when I hear Tim Beck speak, Jamie Chadwell had the mullet. So I really enjoyed that. But when I hear Tim Beck speak, he doesn't sound like this.
Trying to get our 2 boys ready to carry them to golf tournament before practice, right? 12 cats live across the road. Our door's open. Screen's broke. We need to get a new screen door, but the screen's broke. So you can come in through the screen, but you can't get back out of it. I turn and look, there's a little kitty cat in our kitchen. So I said, what are you doing in here, little kitty cat? By that time, the cat turns, tries to get back out. That screen won't go that way. Cat starts going, meow, all crazy. And I told our players, we need more dogs. Bo's barking in the back. I have to go shut Bo up. Mel's like, what's going on? I said, there's a cat in the house. Cat in the house? I said, yeah, there's a cat in the house. So I told our players, I tried to let it out the front door. Meow, meow, the cat's still going crazy in there. And I told our players, you need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats.
David Bennett, their former
legendary
coach. First off, I love you, David Bennett. You are fantastic for the sport of college football. And I know you're coaching high school football, I believe somewhere in South Carolina, but, did any of the players even like connect with that? Because I feel like that's a long story. And like, did you even describe Bo? They're like, Bo's barking in the back. I know Bo's your dog, but it's like, when I watched that interview, I'm like, everyone's there is like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But it's fantastic because you're like, this is a country ass dude who's a good football coach too. Very good football coach. But there was a style. The fact that I know Tim Brooks, the creator of Hooters, Brooks Stadium, like it's just, there's a style to me. The whole Chanticleer logo is campy. So like, it's almost like the old school Houston Oilers with Bum Phillips and stuff. So when Tim Beck came in there, I'm like, wait, he sounds too normal. Sounds too normal. Like I need some more flavor. But yeah, I think year one was very encouraging. I think if you're a Coastal Carolina fan, you're thinking, hey, this could be our guy. I mean, we lost Chadwell. He's now at Liberty, but this could be our guy. 8-5, 3 different quarterbacks. We're going to talk more about that in a second, but I want to say, you're listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The Sports Gambling Podcast just launched their 32-team NFL season previews. 32 episodes, 32 teams, and they're giving out a $500 Circa future for all the listeners, plus the EPL return. So make sure you check out the Soccer Gambling Podcast and the Premier League Gambling Podcast for your footy fix there. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. Back talking Chanticleer football, and look, they've only been a program. What did I say? Their first year was 03?
03.
Yeah. 03 is their first year. So what? This is essentially their 21st season. They've done 20 years, and believe it or not, like they've only had 5 losing seasons, and the worst one being 3-9 in year one of the FBS. So this program has been pretty damn good. Since they've entered this, and then you look at what they've done lately with that many wins. Hey, I think, and this gets to my next question. What's the best win they've had? They've only been in the FBS for 6 seasons. Is it 7 seasons? This will be their 7th season. Yeah. So, look at this right here. They got 3 wins over Kansas, the Jayhawks. They caught him right before they caught him in Les Miles for 2 of those years, I believe. Beatty. Yeah. And then Leipold in year 1, they got, I think in like his first or second game, 49-22. But they also took down BYU in that classic that was like scheduled on a Tuesday, played on a Thursday. What's the best win for this program? Probably that BYU game, right?
Yeah, I think that BYU game. Let me ask you, do you remember they almost beat a team on the road in Grayson's, I think, second year? Like I think he got hurt. I want to say his finger like got split open, and I can't remember exactly. I should have looked this up beforehand. But I remember him playing a really good team on the road really well. I can't remember who it is. Maybe whenever we're talking about something else, I can look at it.
I have the schedules here. Let me see. I'm thinking because they were so fire for a couple of those seasons.
Yeah, they were.
At App, they lost by 3. They almost went undefeated that year, man. They almost went undefeated in 21. 22. It might have been a 22.
Was it
probably
Auburn?
against? Well, no, they did lose to East Carolina 53-29 in 22. Shout out to that. That's what happens. And look, that I'm glad to see that game's on the schedule next year. Don't cancel that thing. All right. Maybe it was 18. I'm thinking it might have been 18 when they were just turning that program, because 19 they went. Or no, 19 they were 5-7. Maybe it was 19.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking. Maybe it was the App State game that I'm thinking about. I can't remember. I know it was on the road, And I think Grayson was dealing and his finger got split. But yeah, I would think the BYU game, just the physicality, being able to, hold up against BYU. Definitely not this year's BYU.
Yeah, and that's when they had Zach Wilson. BYU was like 10-0 or something at that time. So yeah, I think that's the game as well.
Keep your mom away from Zach Wilson.
Right? Yeah, he should have explored Myrtle Beach a little more, Zach Wilson, right?
Definitely.
Folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. If you go 8-0, you can win 325 times your entry, or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yeah, Best Ball Mania is now live with $15 million in prizes. They just launched season-long college football projections too. By the way, they have college football best ball. We dropped an episode on that. Go check out that. But season-long college football projections. I don't know about you, Lante, but I took the lower. I think it was 2,500. I think it was like 2,500 and change passing yards for why am I drawing a blank on Notre Dame's quarterback from Duke right now?
Riley Leonard. And I took the higher than, I think it was 829 yards for LaQuint Allen at Syracuse. And you essentially have to parlay. You can't just take one of these things. You have to take at least two, but it goes all the way to, I think, 6 players you could throw in there. And it is a ton of fun. I've never seen any place offer stats like that. So get on over to Underdog Fantasy. And if I'm telling you, if you know college football, that is an edge that you will not find elsewhere. I know, look, we get paid to talk on the ads. This is not a part of the script. This is me just telling you, I really buy I enjoy their product. So check it out. Get on over there. You can now use specials and boosts too on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. All right, back talking Chanticleer football. Shout out to Cannabis Capper in the chat. 8-5 with Chadwell's lefters. He seems to be a skeptic too, perhaps. Let's talk about this offense here because they were 60th in the nation scoring per game. Travis Trickett, he was previously at UCF or something. I think he was at UCF before that for positions coach. Maybe I'm drawing a blank. I know he was at Georgia State at one point. I think he might have been.
Okay. Yeah. 60th, not bad considering 3 different quarterbacks played. 40th in yards, that's good. 38th in passing, 69th in rushing. All of those were, with the exception of scoring, they were top half of the Sun Belt. I still think there's room for improvement there, obviously, because some of the years prior they were 1, 2, or 3 in all these stats pretty much. But I think it's an encouraging year from an offensive standpoint. You look at what they bring back. They got 6 starters back on the offensive side of the ball. 3 on the O-line. Javon Simpkins back at the running back spot. Jamison Tucker, Kendall Carr back at the tight end spot. Obviously, Jamison Tucker, the wideout. Kicker Cade Hensley back as well. Where are you at with this offense? You think this offense, I know we'll talk portal in a second, but do you think this offense is going to be better even though McCall's gone, or do you think we should expect regression?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was surprised that we got those numbers that we just that you just showed on the screen. I was surprised. I was expecting him to be bottom half because obviously, coming in, he wasn't an innovative play caller, but maybe like you said, I didn't even think about this. Maybe he took his hands off of the offense and kind of let Trickett do his thing. And maybe that was beneficial to what he's doing. So I think that I was, really surprised with that, man. Really, really surprised with that. But I think they might take a little step back here. Although the quarterback rotation was, what it was, people got it on film now. It's not like they know what to prepare for and what to do. I'm pretty sure. Have they named a starter? Do you know?
I don't think they have, but I think they kind of have a good problem because,
they brought Noah Kim in, Tad Hudson from Carolina.
Hudson from North Carolina. Let's talk about that because and obviously if you caught the bowl game, Ethan Vasco looked like the next McCall in a way. Yeah, they lost Blake Boda also to Arkansas. So Grayson McCall went to NC State. Blake Boda to Arkansas. Jared Guest Bryant, the Bulldogs in the FCS. I like that get for the Bulldogs. Luke Sather as well, or Sather. they did get hit some. CJ Beasley goes to Georgia State. Wide receiver Jared Brown, who was a fucking stud. We in DFS, this was like a go-to the past couple of years because I always felt like they never valued him correctly. He goes to South Carolina. Tyson Mobley reconnects with Jamie Chadwell there at Liberty. They lose Will McDonald on the offensive line to the California Golden Bears. Mason Bowers heads out to Sac State, and a few others, going to the FCS ranks. Those are some hits. I mean, quarterback depth definitely hits, but they were proactive though. They went out in the portal, brought in Noah Kim, who's out of Chantilly, Virginia, who had started some at Michigan State. Tad Hudson comes in from North Carolina. Obviously, North Carolina they had no lineage at quarterback, and now they're just pumping out. They're just pumping out talent left and right now. Right. Simeon Price comes in at the running back spot for Mississippi State. Christian Washington from New Mexico. And this is what stood out to me. They went to obscure places for some of these plays. Eastern New Mexico. A lot of people don't even know that Eastern New Mexico has a football program. But Andre Jones, and looking like, hey, I got this. They brought in a D3 wideout, Jamadio Whitley, I think his name is, from Hampton, Sydney. I mean, that's going deep. Your scout team is going deep. Seneca McKee comes in from UNLV. They were good last year. Malik Mega from Penn State. Okay. And then look on the O-line, the scouting department, Texas Permian Basin, coming in on the offensive tackle, and Heston Edwards, Sawyer Gorham Welch from the Texas Longhorns. So, hey, the scouting team, they earned their mileage for their flights on this ones.
That's
but
sure.
Maybe I wish I could tell you, some of these other ones, like I've seen Noah Kim play. I tend to think Tad Hudson could be a decent get. I've seen Simeon Price play. I'd be lying to you if I watched a lot of Eastern New Mexico tape. You know what I mean? For Andre Jones, no disrespect, Andre, but I still think you lose McCall, you lose the portal. Absolutely. Right? Am I crazy? Yeah.
Him and Beasley. And then a lot of those other guys, a couple of those guys went to Power 4 schools. And when I'm looking at the transfer portal, I mean, obviously it's bad to lose guys, but if you're losing those guys to Power 4 teams and they're not playing, I mean, I don't think that's a big deal. But when you look at some of the guys, like obviously, McCall's going to play, Beasley's going to play, some of those other players are probably going to play. I know the offensive lineman at Cal, I think he's going to play in that rotation at least. So yeah, I think it's overall a loss when you lose two dynamic players like that and a couple of those depth pieces. So yeah, I think overall loss. Obviously we don't know with the additions, how well they'll fit going up in class, but I will say the track record for some of these like D2 and D3 guys going up to like, the FBS level, it's been pretty good on some of them. Some of them have been really good as far.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I know we talked Jared Verse, who came from Albany to Florida State. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the wideout for Arkansas that came up from, I think, Texas A&M Kingsville. But he starts on Arkansas. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but was it Armstrong? I think it might be. But anyway, yeah. I mean, a lot of these. Sometimes you see Virginia Tech has utilized the portal, bringing in. I just broke them down the other day, but like. They've gotten a few guys from the FCS ranks that are key contributors on that team. And I'm trying to think of the tight end from Shorter that went somewhere last year. Was that Florida State that got him? Either way, yeah, there's good football being played out there. Don't just make an assumption. Eastern New Mexico. I believe the quarterback from Ole Miss that plays in the UFL. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. It's lack of sleep for having a baby, dude. The quarterback for the DC team, Jordan Tamu, I believe, was a transfer from Eastern New Mexico to Ole Miss. Yeah, so there's a perfect example right there. Yeah, I just think the offense will be a little worse. Mm-hmm. I really do, just because by default. But I mean, who knows? Maybe Noah Kim is perfect for the system. Maybe Vasco, continues to look as good as he looked a season ago. Or Tad Hudson. You never. I do think they're deep at quarterback, despite losing those guys. Yeah, they're still pretty deep at quarterback.
Depends on if they stay after somebody's named the starter. Like, does all three of them stay, or do they kind of just be like, okay, well, somebody's going to need a quarterback, obviously.
That's why they don't announce it until like the
It's
30 minutes before kickoff.
Smartest thing to do.
Oh man, Dave Aranda, shout out to Steve in the chat. He goes, "Chance up." Yeah, Dave Aranda learned the hard way. Do you know, coaching might not be the best. Like, you want to improve people's lives, but at the same time, so Dave Aranda was starting Blake Shapen over Kyron Drones, and after spring practice, he's like, "Kyron, you should hit the portal because we're gonna start Shapen."
Big mistake.
And that's a nice thing to do. But the first game of the season or second game of the season, Blake Shapen got injured, and you didn't have Kyron Drones, and you saw him ball out at Virginia Tech. So you're just sitting there like, it's a nice guy's finished last in a way, man. It's like if he had just not said anything and be like, "No, you're going to be a starter. You could be a starter." I think right now,
right.
It's tough spot to be in. But yeah, I think the offense will be. I still think it'll be a decent offense. I just don't think it'll be as good without Grayson McCall and Beasley, and obviously Jared Brown. So I still think it'll be decent though. I still think it'll be respectable and probably like kind of fluctuate. Well, actually, no. The Sun Belt lost a decent amount of teams. Coaches lost. Like Gerard Parker's coming into Troy, South Alabama, Major Applewhite. So you got some turnover. ULM, Bryant Vincent. I'll say they'll still be top half of the conference, I think, when it comes to offense. How about you?
I agree with that. I mean, a lot of teams making it's not just them, like they have the luxury of being in year 2. They got some of the same guys, so the structure is somewhat there. With a lot of these other teams, Troy, South Alabama, like you mentioned, JMU, and these guys, they're having major turnover. So that's an advantage to a team that has stability. So I think that they'll be able to at least finish in the top half as far as offense goes.
I agree. Defensively, hey, I mean, co-DCs, what do they say? If you got two quarterbacks, you got none, but you got 2 defensive coordinators, you can do all right. All right. You see it right here. 48th in scoring per game, 23.8 points per game. That was 4th best in the Sun Belt. 64th in yards. That was 6th best in the Sun Belt. 44th in passing. That was 3rd best in the Sun Belt. Rush defense was the clear weakness of this team. 97th in rushing, 10th in the Sun Belt out of 14 teams there. Rush defense got to get better. I think that's the one that stands out the most, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think it is. And I thought they did a decent job in the portal, but I gotta get more depth there. I think they were dealing with some nagging injuries on the front line. So guys are rotating in and out. And some of those guys just weren't capable of playing at that level. So I think the defensive front has to be better if they want to improve as a team. Obviously, the back end, one of my favorite players, got a great name at corner. McDoom, Matt McDoom.
Yes.
He's gonna take care of one side of the field. So I mean, you just gotta get some kind of pass rush to get him some help.
Yeah, 6 starters back on the defensive side of the ball. Only 1 on the D line, but that could be a good thing. If the D line wasn't able to stop anybody, maybe that's a good thing. Will Whitson, the lone starter back on the D line. Linebackers: Braylon Ryan, Shane Bruce back, Juan Powell back at the nickelback spot. McDoom, who you referred to, the corner, is a stud. Same with Tobias Fletcher at the strong safety spot back. He's back as well. Hey, I mean, 6 starters back. It's not the end of the world here for a defense that was pretty respectable for the most part. They did lose a couple guys. Jamie Chadwell, get your slimy hands off Tim Beck's roster. All right. Grabbing Jamar Brown at the linebacker spot. Trey Pinckney also heading out to Southern Miss in conference. Jacob Prochet going to the Ohio Bobcats, who won 10 games a season ago. Derek Maxey also joined the Georgia State in conference. Did lose some guys in conference. Evan Crenshaw said, "I'm going to Troy." All right. So I don't want to say like gigantic losses. No, I don't think so. But there is some a little meat on the bone there. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's much to lose sleep over. I mean, a lot of them is coming in the secondary, but I think the secondary was the strength of their defense. So, I mean, a lot of those guys didn't really contribute at a high level. So I believe that, I think they're going to win the portal on defensive side because they're going to shore up their weaknesses. And I don't think the secondary was a weakness. I mean, the linebacker depth might be in question, but again, when you're bringing in Yeah, or you really just got to take away one side of the field because McDoom is going to do his thing on the other side, and the most you have to do, create a pass rush, stop the run. I think the secondary will be fine.
Yeah. And look, they went out in the portal, and once again, the scouting department. Hey, bravo. DeMonte Diggs coming in from Youngstown State. Nawan
They don't
Barber
have a team,
from,
do they? Every time we do a show, it's people taking Youngstown State.
What happened in Youngstown, Ohio, man?
Yeah, everybody's going on their team.
It was a fucking mutiny. Nawan Barber heads out of South Carolina State. Buddy Pugh retired, and he heads over to Coastal, and then Ibrahim Deware from Shippensburg State. I think that's in Pennsylvania. I think I had a buddy from high school played baseball there. That's deep. The scouting department going deep. Quan Peterson comes in from Syracuse when he was with Rocky Long's defensive season ago. AJ Williams from Wake Forest. You know, the Clausen keeps good football players around that program. They all transfer and succeed elsewhere, it seems like. Christian Conyer from the Tennessee Volunteers. Braden Hall, JUCO transfer that was, once again, deep. I wasn't even familiar with the school. I was like, okay, it's out there. And then Gordon there from USC. So man, all over the place. Some big name brands like Tennessee and Syracuse and USC, and then Shippensburg State, South Carolina State, Youngstown State. So a mix of it all. But I would say they won the portal on the defensive side of the ball. I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see a little bit more defensive line depth. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes the portal can be telling, and maybe they feel comfortable with the guys in the system in the second year in the system taking a leap. So we'll be able to see. But overall, I think it's a clear win.
Yeah, on the defensive side.
Yeah, defensive side.
Folks, look, I want to talk about the win total and the schedule coming up, but I want to tell you that the college football experience, Coastal Carolina Chanticleers season preview. It's brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, football season is here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most to you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that. Or you can sit back and just let Rhythm and its predictive models do the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Look, Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. I like the Yellow Jackets, Georgia Tech plus 13 there against Florida State in Dublin, Ireland, of all places. So jump over there. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Circus Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circus Sports is back with Circus Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football season, may I recommend Ultimate Contest Weekend. It is a great time to go out. You can hang with my pals from the Sports Gambling Podcast, Sean Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd to August 24th. Use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room for that weekend as well. Look, sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. All right. Shout out to the chat. Rocking along here. They want to know about Chanticleer football. YouTube.com/the college experience. The shots win total 6.5. Wait a second here. 6.5. I mean, this is a program that has, pretty much for the past 4 seasons gone way over that. So why should we be concerned? I know another year removed from Jamie Chadwell. I'm just saying though, that 6.5, just with, we just touched on JMU new head coach, ULM new head coach, Troy new head coach, South Alabama new head coach. And then you could also add in the fact that like Clay Helton could be canned at Georgia Southern. He's on the hot seat this year. I would even say Butch Jones might be on the hot seat at Arkansas State. There are some hot seat, candidates. So, within this conference. So when you schedule them, who knows if they'll even be there. Or not when you schedule them, but when the conference schedule comes out, towards the back, the teams towards the back of the schedule, you never know who will be there and who won't. The Chanticleers are plus 1,600 to win the Sun Belt, plus 7,500 to make the playoff, plus 100,000 to win the national championship there. The 6.5 wins I should hit on because I was a little surprised. I thought it would be like 7.5. So a little bit surprised that it was that low. And then another element of this is, I believe as soon as this, I believe the juice is where did I put this? So the unders minus 135, the overs plus 115. So Vegas saying this is probably a 7-5 team. All right. They set the at 6.5 because they're like somewhere between 6 and 7. Is that where you just blindly would have them, Lante, without really diving into the schedule?
Yeah, I probably would be right around like 6-ish. Just because so much like uncertainty around the quarterback position. We don't know who's going to play quarterback. We don't know how they're going to adapt to the new system. I want to see how improved their defensive front is. So yeah, I would think 6. I think the number is about right. I think it opened like 5.5, and then it got bet up to 6.5. So I think you could have got it in between 5.5 and 6.5 because they open these numbers like so much earlier. Without knowing
May
like
30th or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was all over the place. I know a couple of people who like the over. I know over at 5.5 and like the under at 6.5. So I think 6 and 6 is kind of that median where I have them at.
Let's dive into it because man, Thursday night, look, to me the week 0 slate this year in college football is a little weak. I mean, I'm excited for Georgia Tech, Florida State, and like Bronco Mendenhall is taking on a FCS Montana State, but they're actually 9-point dogs first game. Mendenhall will turn that New Mexico program around, but it ain't going to be, day one. And then Nevada is like a catch 30 or something against SMU. Jesus. So the week 0 slate, not necessarily fire, but week 1, I think this is like one of the underrated games. Week 1, Coastal going down there to take on Rich Rodriguez, Patty C's boy, Jacksonville State on a Thursday night. The same Thursday night we're going to catch, Dion against North Dakota State, Dion and the Buffs against North Dakota State, and then North Carolina and Minnesota. So it's got some good games on that Thursday. I lean Jacksonville State here. I think Rich Rodriguez should have never been fired from Arizona. I think he's a very good football coach, and Jacksonville State, I like what he's done with the program there, but I also think they're incredibly lucky to have him. I was shocked he was not, I think he should be in a way, no disrespect to Jacksonville State, but I almost feel like he's overqualified for the job. I lean Jacksonville State there. What are you doing here?
Yeah, we're gonna get a good look at that defensive front because Rich Rod is gonna run the ball at you. So we'll know right away what that defensive front is like. So road game, first time breaking in a new quarterback if it's not Vasco. I think the run game will be too much, at least to start off. So I'll go Jacksonville State. I'll go Jacksonville State here.
Yeah, and then week 2, watch out. Mike London and William & Mary have been solid. Charlotte found out about them 2 years ago.
Yep.
Like a 17-point win. Mike London. Now I know William & Mary took a step back last season, but they've had some really good years and they lost a lot of close games last year. I still think this is a losable game. And if you watch the Virginia game, I want to say William & Mary had that thing within like 7 at Virginia in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So I tend to think that it's a win, but it ain't a win by that much.
Yep. I'll be taking the points with William & Mary. That's for sure. But I think Coastal will get it done. First home game. Yeah, I think they'll get it done, but it's going to be tough though.
Then week 3, they head to Temple. Stan Drayton. It's tough times in Philadelphia. No one goes to their games. They play at the lake, which is just ridiculous. They're like the school's enrollment's like 2,000 people. It doesn't make any sense why they play there. That's why I think Coastal's gonna go there and dominate. Really, yep. I think they'll win by double digits.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean Temple's probably one of the top with the bottom 5 worst programs right now. So I got them winning pretty big here.
Yeah, me too. So that puts them at 2-1, and then they host. Wait, Virginia's got to come to Brooks Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on paper, Virginia's better, but not by that much. I kind of got to lean. If this was in Charlottesville, I would take Virginia, but Brooks Stadium there, I think I lean Coastal by, I don't know, a field goal. I think this is a 50-50 game, but this play's going to get lit for that.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's not often that a Power 5 team comes in there. Right. So I'm going to take Coastal. I don't know, 31-28. Coastal wins. This is a big year for Tony Elliott, though. Like like I do think Virginia, but he's fucking around, man. They're going to start Musket. I think they should be starting Calandria.
They definitely should be starting him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now, maybe they resolve that by week 4, but I lean Coastal by a field goal. What are you doing here?
I love Coastal in this spot, man. I think they're going to be fired up. They go into after this game, they go into a bye. So, they don't have to worry too much about somebody on deck or worrying about anything else. So they got a full week of prep. I mean, not much to deal with. I mean, although the William and Mary game, I think is going to be closer than what we think. Them in Temple, not going to be the biggest challenges. So I think they'll keep it vanilla, get in and get out and use everything they have in this big game. I think Coastal wins this game, probably about, I would say 34-26.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that puts me at 3-1, and they get a bye week, and then they're hosting Ricky Ronnie's squad from Old Dominion. Let me tell you, man, Old Dominion, I was on fade with them last season, and I ate shit on them because
Me too.
I got to give that coaching staff credit because they got rated in the portal coming into last season. And then, you're watching the game, you're like, oh, who's this guy? Who's this? He looks they had a running back that transferred to Cal. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Man, I was watching the Marshall game. He had 10 rushes for 250 yards. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but my point is they do a good job because they got rated again. He left for Cal, and so did a lot of this team. I still think it's at Brooks Stadium. I lean Coastal. I got them 4-1 to start the season, man. Not by much though. Old Dominion could still win this game. It's just, to me, I would say Coastal by a touchdown.
Yeah, I got Coastal a little bit closer to a field goal at home. They'll be refreshed after that win, building momentum. Don't have to travel, so they'll get a full week off to be able to prep for ODU. So yeah, I think they come out 4-1 going into the game at JMU.
It is a Thursday night in Harrisonburg. I do like the hire for JMU, but damn if their whole team isn't at Indiana. I feel like the whole entire team followed Kurt Cignetti to JMU. So I do worry about. I think Bob Chesney is a good football coach. I host the FCS college football experience, and Holy Cross had been really, I thought he done such a good job with them, but I don't know that you can just build that overnight. And he doesn't strike me as the guy that builds it. That just, oh, let me go get all these portal guys. I'm going to take JMU because it's Thursday night, but I feel like Coastal's better on paper right now.
Yeah, I think my thing with the newer teams, you kind of want to get them earlier. And if they could have switched the JMU game kind of with Temple, I don't know if that would have been possible. I think they would have had a better shot even on the road. But after 4 games, I think JMU maybe gets a little bit of a break after week 2, if I'm not mistaken. Short week for Coastal, coming off 2 emotional wins, going on the road. I think JMU gets them. I hope Patty sees in the house shotgun and beer.
Right? Yeah. I think JMU gets them too nationally televised. They come back home. They take on the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. This is another one that I have them on the hot seat. I just have not been a fan of Michael Desamoreau. Ever since he took over Billy Napier's job there at Louisiana, they were if you believe recruiting rankings, they were the clear cut top team in the Sun Belt, but they didn't play like it. When it comes to recruiting, they were number 1. I think Coastal's going to beat Louisiana there at home. So I do got them at this point 5-2. Hey, the win total 6.5, folks. So they're right in the mix for this. You got them beating Louisiana or no?
I'm high on Louisiana this year. I'm not really high on the coach as well. He loses too many close games. Obviously not the recruiter that Billy Napier was. Maybe that, maybe if Florida doesn't have a good year, maybe they'll have Billy back. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if they can get that rush defense settled, and they'll have a couple of games to, obviously we saw it, we'll see it with Jacksonville State. I think JMU is going to run the ball a little bit more as well. ODU definitely. So I like Coastal here. I really do. At home, off of a loss, you get a extra 2 or 3 days to prep. So yeah, I'm going Coastal here.
I'm with you. 5-2. They get their second bye week leading up to Halloween. Then on November 2nd, they head to Troy. They are breaking in Gerard Parker, which was kind of a random hire to me.
Terrible hire to me.
Yeah, I was just like, what?
Notre Dame couldn't wait to get him out of there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we can go get Denbrock. It's still a tough place to play, though. Like, I feel like they show up for their fans, for their team. But I kind of think Coastal's better on paper. Year 2, also, like, give me a 6 win. Give me a 6 win. Like, until I see otherwise.
Yeah, as much as I don't like Parker, I think Troy will not have it rolling, but I think they'll be in better shape. Like, this is another one of those games that if they could have got in, September, it would have been a little bit better. But now, a little bit colder.
It is a look ahead spot to the App State Thursday night game, though. The more I think about it, let's do loss. Let's do a loss. 5-3.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make them 5-3 there. I do think they'll be competitive because if they're coming off that second bye and like we both have them at 5-2, they're gonna be that's a lot of momentum. And especially depending on how tight they play JMU. But yeah, I think Troy tough. I think they'll take a loss there.
Yeah, and then the Thursday nighter, I might be at this game.
Oh, really?
I know NC Nick is definitely at this game. He's already got his ticket and his travel plans. I might be at this game there at Brooks Stadium. So let me know if you're going. But App State comes in Thursday night. The last time they came down there on a Thursday night, they stormed the field. NC Nick was there. I think App's a better team. App lost. You know what? I'm taking App. Because Coastal went up to App last season and kind of beat their ass on the ground. I think App gets revenge here and goes into Coastal and makes it like this is. They have this one circled, in my opinion.
Yep, you took my handicap. It's right. That's exactly what I have written down in my notes. Big revenge spot, and it's tough to win in Boone. Really tough to win in Boone, and they went there and did it. I think the App State, they'll be rolling by the end, breaking in a couple of new pieces there. If I'm not mistaken, they are. I'm trying to look at their schedule really quick. Well, they'll have ODU before they go. They get a bye week the week after Coastal. So, yeah, I like App State to kind of get it done in revenge mode.
Yeah, shout out to Robert Martin in the chat. He goes, "Which game could turn out to be the best investment as far as them being a live dog or for your win? Like, I think for your win total, if they win that Troy game, or the JMU game." To me, or the season opener. I think if you win the season opener, then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, we're hitting this. After App, they go on the road to Huntington, West Virginia, and let me tell you, they're not winning this game. That shit is cold as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Huntington, West Virginia, that's a very cold place, especially around this time. I got Coastal losing to Charles Huff there in Marshall. Where are you at with this one?
Yeah, I got them losing as well. I thought the weather would play a big factor. They'll be roughed up. They'll have 4 games in a row of physical teams. They'll go JMU, Louisiana, bye of course, and then they'll go Troy, App State. So I think they'll be a little bit bruised up in the cold weather. Moneyline Mac might be on the sideline. He might have a bet or two on Marshall. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Marshall there. I'm not really high on Marshall, but I think that at home later in the year, I think they'll be able to get him here.
I just like to fade those Southern teams coming up to that. That's like we think the Sun Belt, which is like a play on the Bible Belt, but Marshall, the Bible Belt, Marshall's cold. I don't know that any other app in the mountains, but I'm saying there's not that many really cold places in the Sun Belt.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Marshall, in November, it's fucking cold. So that puts us at what, 5? They dropped 3 straight. That puts us at 5-4.
Yep.
Look, I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think Clay Helton's the coach of Georgia Southern at this point in the year. I think they can him. I think Coastal, that makes it easier on Coastal to get this 6th win to go bowl eligible. So I got him taking down Georgia Southern.
Yep. After a grueling 5-game stretch, I think they come back home, readjust. Georgia Southern, they like to throw the ball, obviously. So if that defense isn't shored up, we know the strength of the Coastal defense is their secondary. So I think McDoom will be able to shut down McDoom and company will be able to shut that down and get a win, a much needed win after losing 3 in a row.
Yeah, and look, we're about to do the Georgia State preview next, folks. If you're on YouTube, we're gonna do this preview in about 10-15 minutes. But Georgia State is one, just to reveal. Del McGee is coming into. If you haven't seen their schedule, folks, they play on the road from October 17th.
Oh my God.
To November 9th. They spend a month. So four straight games on the road, which I don't think I ever I remember 3 straight with a neutral site smash where it was 4. But I don't know that I've ever seen 4 true away games ever on a college football schedule. At least, you'd have to go back to like the 80s or 90s, or, a situation like a hurricane. I know like Tulane didn't have their facilities because of Katrina, right?
Yeah. Right.
They did, so like they had to play a bunch of games on the road. But I'm saying like for them to concoct this schedule, like to say, hey, let's just spend a month on the road. What? That makes me think that they're going to be beat up by this point in the season. So I lean Coastal here. I'll tell you this, man. Prior to that, I thought Georgia State would beat Coastal in this spot. I thought it was a good spot for Georgia State to beat Coastal because Southern's kind of a rival too. It's like only 2 hours away or 2.5 hours away. I tend to think now though that Coastal is going to get Georgia State at that stadium. They don't have a lot of fans show up there yet, but I think they will in the coming years.
Yep.
What are you doing here?
I think they lose. I think it's a good spot for Georgia State. I think, man, that schedule, like you mentioned, I know we're going to go over it in a few, but man, whoever made that schedule, they gotta go. I don't know what they were thinking. And it's not just the schedule. It's like who you're playing. You're playing the top of the Sun Belt, basically.
Del McGee, I can help you out with a Christmas card. All right. Give me a phone call, Del. We're going to send a Christmas card to the athletic director. He's going to open it up. Dear sir, fuck you. All right. I got Coastal at 7-5, but I will say if Georgia State is just a little bit ahead of schedule or they could survive that gauntlet, it's an interesting game there. But I think between whether it's Georgia State, whether it's the Troy game where they do have a bye week before it, or maybe Bob Chesney doesn't have JMU where I think they could be, I think they'll find it. I like 7-5. I'll go over. This will not be a lock though.
Yeah, I can see things going. I can get to 7-5. I mean, I could get to 5-7 with a few coin flips. It depends.
They lose to Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of coin flip games. And I mean, I think honestly, the only smash like wins that they have are William and Mary and Temple. Those are the two. Like,
and I don't even feel that great about William and Mary.
Right.
Like Temple is the one where I'm like, yeah, they're just a way better team.
Right. So, so I could see it going a bevy of ways. I mean, obviously it's dependent upon the kind of coaching moves and how each player is progressing, how each unit is progressing throughout the season. And I think, man, they have a gauntlet as well. They finished 3 of their last 5 on the road. So they want to make sure that they get healthy. And we already talked about the defensive line depth. So if a couple of those guys go down, man, it could be really, really troubling going through that gauntlet in November.
True. Shout out to FBI Tugboat in the chat. And also shout out to Robert Martin giving us $20 saying Jacksonville State, South Dakota State, week 1 parlay. Lock it in, fellas. Good luck from Canada.
Oh man, I love Canada.
Yeah, I love Canada too. Here. Oh man, I can't. If you haven't been to Canada, you got to get up there. Beautiful country. And Robert Martin, you're a hell of a nice guy. Did you check your emails, Robert? I think we sent you an email, by the way. Anyway, Robert asked earlier, which game, could they be the biggest live dog in? I think they're a short dog in Jack. Let me see if I can pull up that.
Yeah, I think that's 3. They were 3.5. They're 3 now.
See, I think you're better off waiting for like.
Yeah, I think that there'll be a dog against UVA, probably like a touchdown.
That's true, and maybe App might be. App could be like but the problem is I think App's going to get revenge, so I don't know that you want to take that one.
Yeah, I would say UVA or Louisiana. There'll be dogs. There'll be decent dogs in both of those games.
Yeah, so I think you look for the UVA one, a P5 going there. Come on, they've been waiting for that. I don't think besides that. Actually, I think the only time that's ever happened was when Kansas went there and they got them. So, you know, when you hit the road as a P5 to a group of 5, look at the history of that. It's closer than you think. So yes, I'll go over. You said you're going over, or what would you say there? You said
Yeah. What
over?
is it? I'm slightly under. If it's at 6.5, I'm
Okay.
slightly under. Yeah, slightly under at 6. I'm at 6-6.
Okay. Yeah, I can't talk shit really about, like, I feel like they're either 6 or 7 wins. I do think they're bowling though. I think they're bowling,
I think they're bowling. Yeah.
and for this program to keep that streak going and go into year 3, you know, and continue to develop, I think it's a good thing. I don't think there's any value for me on taking a Sun Belt championship. I don't think this is their year.
Nope.
I will say this though. App State is the team to beat in the East. Sun Belt's the only conference that still has divisions.
Why the hell do they?
Yeah, I don't know, but I can tell you this: they could be number 2. You know, like I know Marshall and JMU. We just assume it wouldn't shock me if Coastal's number 2.
Yeah, if things go right. Yeah, if things go right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. I mean, but I think that division is, you know, outside of the top, like, you know, of App State, of course. It's just like you could probably put them all in a bag and draw out one, I think.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is, let me see what I can do here. If I don't know, my cursor is thinking right now, but you can find odds to make the championship game. Now, obviously, this would depend on them beating Appalachian State. So almost like if you, and I don't have them beating Appalachian State. I think Appalachian State is just, they're more experienced, the revenge angle. But let me see what I can find here just to throw it out there. Maybe you are higher on the Chanticleers than say me or Lante. I actually think I might even have them in second place the more I think about it. Maybe Marshall, like somewhere. I think JMU is kind of reloading. Old Dominion is reloading every year because they get destroyed in the portal. But and Southern could be the second one if they hit. You know, I don't know why Southern hired Clay Helton, but I can tell you, like, I do think they're more talented than their record was last season. And I'm not getting anything for, I don't know, I'm getting the cursor just thinking. Okay, here we go. To make the title game. I think my computer's going slow here, but we have, where are they at? Where are they at? Come on. Do they even have the Sun Belt odds for this? I'm
looking right now as well. I
don't think they do. I don't think that's crazy. They have the Conference USA, but they don't have the Sun Belt. So yeah, I guess I can't give you that nugget there, but maybe it might be out there at another book. The one I'm currently looking at does not have that. Something to consider though, I would say if you're gonna you know, place a wager regarding these this team's future. I'm on the over, no strong conviction. You will not hear me locking this up. And Lante's on the under, but I think, like I said, I think I'm not locking it there. Yeah, we're right there on that. Folks, we'll be back in like 15 minutes or 10 minutes doing the Georgia State Panthers as Del McGee enters year 1 there in Atlanta. Make sure you give Lante a follow on Twitter at XXLanteXX. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD, and check out Lante's fine penmanship over there at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Writing great articles regarding college football this season, you know, right around the corner. So you're going to want to check those out. Also check out the MLB gambling podcast and the NBA gambling podcast. Like I mentioned, the college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. So get on over there and hit that follow button. And then youtube.com/the college experience is the home for all of our stuff. Coastal Carolina keeps a great baseball program. Check out the college baseball experience podcast. Also check out the college basketball experience podcast. Excited for all of that stuff. All of those podcasts come together as one, youtube.com/the college experience. Also check out the Stadium Heads podcast. We gave Brooks Stadium their flowers. Get on over there. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast. We went through all the Sun Belt schools, stadiums, and basically break down the history of stadiums, history of college football, and why it's fantastic. And shout out to the Sharp that says, "Hey, Lante's dope. Keep bringing him on." I agree.
I appreciate it.
So
I appreciate it.
yes, there we go. We don't have plans to get rid of Latte. Actually, he's got open invitation whenever he wants. So
I appreciate it.
there we go. So folks, 10 minutes, Georgia State. Let's go. I'm on the over. He's on the under. This is the college football experience, Chanticleer style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.